It's the Brad and John Show.
It is the Brad and John Show, executed flawlessly. And the date right now is February 18th. This is the C block, the Charlie block. We're starting at about 7:40, but we're a little bit late this morning, 7:45. John, I am just knocking them dead this morning, aren't I? I have not made one single mistake so far, have I?
There's just a couple glitches here and there, Brad. That's just cost of doing business, right?
Cost of doing business. CDB, as they say. Okay, one of the story to talk about.
Hopefully at some point you find some time to check out a story about UMSL and pollinator gardens.
Well, what's UMSL and pollinator garden? Tell me that story.
I sent you a story this morning. Is your KSLQ email still work?
Brad at KSLQ?
Yeah.
Don't send it there. So
okay, yeah, I've sent several stories over the last few days. There we go. Okay.
Okay,
yeah.
The story that I want to talk about, and people roll their eyes. Here we go once again. I have been boomer tweeting back and forth with Joe Mannies. What's again now? Mannies, is that his name? Manoir, okay. And she's now... After I asked her 3 separate times about what remember, if you know what we're talking about, KWMU is going to be given, I still say given, John doesn't believe, but they're going to give 3 radio stations, this local group. The University of Missouri is going to take an asset worth 7 figures, maybe even 8 figures, and just hand it to a group of local people. And who knows, it may turn out to be the same situation as KDHX. You never know where the people run it into the ground, but that's a whole other story. She's the one that wrote the article, and the reason she wrote the article that they put this in their website. We went outside our organization to have a disinterested third party who used to work there, that when you go on the website, it says she's semi-retired from St. Louis Public Radio.
Okay, so you've been boomer tweeting with her, and she responded to you.
Twice now, or 3 times now, and she gave me the same line. Well, this is going to be 2 to 3 years in the making, and the deals have not been ironed out. Okay, John, I want to buy your house, but you know what? I'm not going to buy your house for 2 or 3 years, and I'm not going to tell you what price I'm going to pay for your house. Matter of fact, I want you to give me your house, but we're going to consummate this deal in 2 or 3 years. But yet, we're not going to say anything about the details of our consummation of our deal. We're just going to go along for 2 or 3 years, and maybe in 3 years, we'll figure out what we're going to do. Does that make any sense to you?
It does. And I bet you, the people that you've harangued about this and run through the ringer, Joe Mannies has no idea what the figure is. And the woman that we talked to last week, Madeline Painter, that you interacted with, she has no idea what the number is. I bet there's less than a handful of people who are privy to what that number is.
But there's a number.
Okay, but the other thing is, Brad, you are used to, because of your storied career, you're used to being the HNIC, the head North County boy in charge. And you're used to knowing everything and being a master of details, and you want to know things. I guarantee you, nobody from Madeline Painter to Joe Mannies has any idea if Friends of KWMU will provide money to UMSL for the licenses or not. They cannot. I know I'm beating a dead horse because you are. You can't answer a question that you don't know the answer to. Madeline Painter doesn't have an answer. Joe Mannies doesn't have an answer. You're not going to get an answer until the rest of us do. So you can keep haranguing them and annoying them, or you can say, Joe doesn't know and Madeline doesn't know. And if they knew, they couldn't tell me.
Okay, so I move into a new house, and I call up Spectrum.
This metaphor doesn't work, but keep going.
I move into a new house. I call up Spectrum, and I said, hey, I want your nice fiber in my house. They said, no problem, sir. We'll come right out and install it. And they come and install it, and then I call them up, and I go, 2 months later, I go, I haven't gotten a bill yet. And they go, we haven't figured out how much to charge you yet. See what I'm saying, John?
I do, and that's a flawed analogy on so many points. You want to keep beating this up because you know that you're not getting an answer from Joe and you're not getting an answer from Madeline, and you want to keep returning to this because we're not going to get an answer for 3 years. I'm not going to entertain this discussion for 3 years. First of all, because you're not going to live that long. And second of all, because nobody's going to have an answer until the deal is done.
But here's my deal. Okay, if this were a private company, I could care less. But
you couldn't care less.
I couldn't
care less. Could care less means you care. We need to stop saying could care less.
Okay. I have no feelings one way or the other. How's that? Is that better?
Yeah, that's better.
And by the way, it's HNCBIC, head North County boy in charge. You had the acronym wrong.
Yeah, but you know why I said HNIC. Everybody gets the joke. Go ahead.
Okay, so this is taxpayer money, and you would think that in the era of Doge, where they're turning over every rock and finding all sorts of crazy stuff. We talked about the crazy story that's been circulating about, did the federal government pay for Chelsea Clinton's wedding? And some people say yes, they did. I just bothers me, this kind of stuff. It just and
you have a point there, Brad. And this would be, but you also accept that the board of you don't accept, but a reasonable person would accept that the board of curators, if they had to come out with a statement, they would say something to the effect of, "We're going to make sure that we get a good deal on this and that both sides are happy." But they're not going to throw a number out, Brad. That's just not the way the world works.
Well, it bothers me that they're abandoning ship on this. And the interesting part of this is the portfolio for the University of Missouri Board of Curators has an incredible broadcast portfolio. At least they do right now. They have the stations. They have on this side of the state, they have KMST, WQUB, KWMU. In Mizzou, they have KBIA, plus they have 2 TV stations, KOMU. And I've said this before, and I will compliment the University of Missouri till the end of time. If you want to go into television, you want to go to TV news or television programming or television sales, Mizzou is the place to go, because you leave that college, you leave Mizzou, you leave Columbia with not only a degree, but real life commercial experience. Their TV station actually they have 2 TV stations now. Their TV stations in Columbia, Jeff City are commercial TV stations. I believe KOMU Channel 8, I believe it's an NBC affiliate, and I think the other one is a CW affiliate. There are quite a few students who are going to school there who are literally on the air at a commercial TV station. Now, the reason I say that is because in the broadcasting business, if you go and let's say, for example, you went to UMSL and you were lucky enough to work at the campus radio station, which is not, it's not even on the campus anymore. If you were lucky enough to work at KWMU, if you walk into a commercial station and the boss says to you, "Okay, dude, you got your degree, got your sheepskin. What experience do you have?" "Well, I worked 4 years at KWMU." Okay, once again, what experience do you have? Because they look at non-com experience as non-experience, because that's a different world. All you have to do is listen to any shows on NPR. At the end of the show, when they list and they list 35 people that worked on that show. Okay, it's a damn radio show. You go to the top-rated talk stations in the country, and the stations like Sean Hannity probably has a staff of 5 people, okay? And they have hundreds of affiliates, and they make millions of dollars. Why does a not-for-profit organization that has no revenue or very little revenue have a staff of 35 to put on a show that airs for 1 hour, 1 day a week? You know, get what I'm saying, John? Because
I do know. I think they have that many people because radio guys keep emailing them and annoying them. I think they have to deal with a bunch of inquiries. Rosenbaum has a fantastic video that I have up today. He has now branded his Mailbag series as Missouri Mailbag. And this most recent one, he solicited reader answers to the question, what was the most important election in Missouri history? I guess specifically more modern Missouri history. So Rosenbaum walks through the answers that readers submitted, and then Rosenbaum gives a few of his own picks. So it's called Missouri Mailbag. I have a link to it up. I put kind of the opinion stuff because this is more of a kind of Rosenbaum opinion stuff. I usually put that toward the bottom with editorials and such. I have it up today. It's terrific. Jason, of course, adds wonderful visuals to these videos. He does so much great work on this stuff. And I would suggest that people turn it on and listen to it.
Jason Rosenbaum, I think, used to, somewhat tolerate me. Now he doesn't like me at all because of the fact that, I'm going after KWMU all the time, and I'm the enemy. But he's the originator. If anybody's been in sales, you know what the 80-20 rule is. There's a lot of different, essentially, in so many words, there's actually a name for it. It's a guy's name. He came up with this theory years ago. But essentially the idea being is, like they give the example, in World War II, 80% of the planes were shot down by 20% of the American pilots. And, the opposite goes the other way too. Jason is a perfect example of the 95-5 rule, which we coined right here in the radio station, that 95% of the news that's emanated from the KWMU newsroom comes from 5% of the staff, which is Jason Rosenbaum, and 5% of the staff does 95% of the non-news, whichever makes sense. Okay, one other thing to talk about here, David Hogg. We've talked about him before. This is an interesting story that came out yesterday about the fact that he's now been anointed as the vice chairman of the Democratic Party, and he's already in trouble. You know what he's in trouble for, John?
No, I haven't heard this. For what?
He is using the DNC's email list, their social media list, their email list, to solicit funding for his own not-for-profit.
There's no way you're serious.
I'm reading the story. This is some Dems already turning on Hogg 2 weeks into DNC vice chair gig, okay? And it talks about, here's this thing. Hogg has already ruffled some feathers within the DNC for using the committee's contact list to solicit donations for his own political action committee, Leaders We Deserve, according to a report from the New York Post. Quote, David Hogg, and this is what he sent out. This went out to all the DNC people. David Hogg here. I was just elected DNC vice chair. This is a huge win for our movement to make the Democratic Party more reflective of our base, youthful, energetic, blah, blah, blah. And it goes on and says, and then it has links, solicitation links to Leaders We Deserve sent out to a DNC database of phone numbers, according to the report. They SMS this out. So essentially, he's using the DNC database to solicit funding for his own PAC. Now,
wouldn't you have waited at least, another month or two before starting to grift like that?
Yes, grift is the exact word. I mean, how unbelievable is this? Now, I'm not going to fault the guy because he's young. He's like 25 or 26. If they don't know who he is, he's one of the survivors of the Parkland high school massacre in Florida. And there are some people that claim, and this could be bogus, there are some people that claim that he wasn't at school that day, that he really wasn't, I guess still, even if you weren't at school that day, it has to be a traumatic experience to have your friends gunned down by some crazed weirdo, I mean, that has to have an impact on you. Even, like I said, even if you weren't there that day. But I even forgot this. John's the one that brought this up. He's the guy that brought the end of the career of Jamie Allman in 97-1, because Jamie Allman, what was the hot poker tweet? Wasn't that what it was?
Yeah, he said something about a hot poker, which was, of course, taken wildly. People took that as a literal threat. And this is back before Twitter was under Elon. So Twitter was very, sensitive to any threats of violence. And Jamie clearly wasn't actually going to anally penetrate David Hogg with a hot poker. It's obviously a metaphor, but you know how people get.
Well, I have a source that's saying that I'm not on the KWMU listener list, but I have a source that's saying that KWMU has recently set out an email and SMS messages to a bunch of their friends of KWMU that they would like to have funds donated so they can buy KDHX when the license goes up for sale. So I don't know if that's true or not. That's just a rumor I've heard. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I think also they want Madeline Painter to hire a few assistants because of all the emails she's been getting.
From who, John? From who?
I don't know. It's from random people. But it's kind of challenging though, because at the same time they're also hiring. I don't know if you heard that the Cottleville Weldon Spring Chamber of Commerce is looking for additional security at their meetings. So, Brad, I thought it was rather magnanimous of you. And when I was looking through Boomer tweets, I thought it was magnanimous of you to highlight that folks should join the Cottleville Weldon Chamber of Commerce. And I laughed and I thought, that's very Brad Hildebrand, because a lesser man would be very petty. And you, Brad, as much as I enjoy tweaking you, you are a magnanimous guy, and you were a rising tide lifts all boats guy. And I thought it was quite kind of you to tweet out that people should join that Chamber of Commerce.
I have told you the story. One of the things I read years ago, which bothered me to this day, that Ray Kroc, the founder, who's not the founder of McDonald's, he's the fake founder of McDonald's, used to do a lot of speaking to business schools. And there are a lot of different interesting stories about various business schools. These guys work on MBAs, Wharton School of Business, stuff like that. And one of the business schools he was at a public forum, like an open lecture or something like that. And one of the students said, if Burger King were in trouble, would you help them? And he said, if the head of Burger King was in a lake and he was drowning, I would get a hose and put it in his mouth and turn the hose on, okay? I am not that guy. I'm not that guy. And I will tell you a story. I'll end this broadcast this morning by, it's a sad day because Tim McDonald, you don't know who Tim McDonald is, but Tim McDonald is the husband of Sandy Hillerman McDonald, who for a long time owned Hillerman Nursery. They sold it and it's not owned by her anymore. Tim McDonald, her husband, was the general manager of KLPW, which was licensed to union. And we used to compete directly with them when they used to have an FM 1017, which was their country station. And Tim McDonald, I will say this about Tim. He passed away, I believe, over the weekend, and it's sad. He was a super nice guy. There were times when KSLQ went off the air, Tim came over to the radio station, literally drove over to the radio station, said, hey, Brad, I know you're off the air. Anything I can do to help you? We may have some parts or something like that. Could I send my engineer over to take a look at your transmitter? I mean, that to me is the true mark of a good competitor, not the Ray Kroc who's going to, say, hey, Brad, you're off the air. Can I go torch your transmitter so it'll never go back on the air? Can I go put a piece of C4 under your tower and blow it over so you'll never be back on the air again? See, to me, that is the mark of a true competitor, someone who will essentially say, okay, I get it. You and I are fighting for the same dollar, fighting for the same space. But by the same token, we're in the same business. And as the tide rises, so do all boats. John, what do you think of that?
I love it, and I think Tracy just blocked you on Twitter. Anyway, Brad, I'd like to congratulate you because today is our 300th show together.
It's
our
really?
300th morning on the air.
And let me think. So far this year, have you tried to quit so far this year?
No, not yet. Not yet. I haven't yet. I think we're through that, Brad. I think that we've got through our rough patches, and I can't imagine anything. I can't imagine anything coming between us, Brad.
Well, it's really interesting. You don't know about this. I know somebody that knows you really well.
Yeah.
And I confided in them right before Christmas. I said, I don't really want to lose John. I mean, I have so much fun with the show, and we're making inroads. The show grows all the time. And I said to him, how do I make John stay? And this particular person looked me straight in the eye and he said, 2 words, boomer tweets. And I said, oh, I got it. I'll do more boomer tweets. And John will go, well, Brad, I think you're trying to do social media, but you're doing it all wrong. But at least you're trying to do it, right?
You are not doing it wrong at all, Brad. You just gotta put a period before the @ sign. That's the mark of a boomer tweet, Brad.
And that's also, John, did you ever take typing in high school?
Oh, I love typing. It was one of my favorite. We called it keyboarding, but it was one of my favorite classes. Yeah.
Okay, here we go again. This is maybe boomer typing, okay? In my typing education, when you typed a period, what did you do after the period when you started?
You used your thumb to go 2 spaces, and it has taken me years to unlearn that.
Yes, that's exactly what I was going to say, because now, but the interesting thing about it is people make fun of that, but almost all your programs, all your computer programs, including this, the posting on Facebook and stuff like that, if you do that, it automatically puts the dot in there. You know what I mean?
I know it does. You're right about it. Hey, you hit that thing, and then you and I just our generations. Your thumb just instinctively hits the space bar twice. I know.
Also with the colon as well too. Colon is supposed to be 2 spaces, and a semicolon is 1 space. Did you know that?
Hey, Brad, at your age, you're lucky you have a colon.
I have part of a colon, and I have a bag as well too. Art, I'm happy for that. Okay.
Hey, Brad, I'll see you on the boomer tweets.
Did you like the high heel one, by the way?
So good. It's so good, Brad. It's so good. We've reached new heights in 2025. You know what? That's like they say. Call Dick Weber because this is a perfect 300.
And by the way, talking about me and my North County excursions, it bothers me every time I drive by the old Dick Weber lanes there on Florissant, just north of 270, right around the corner from Johnny Londoff. It's gone. Did you know that? It's gone. It's something else now.
Completely gone, yeah. There's a lot of stuff up there that's completely gone, Brad.
But, we didn't talk about this. Is something we talk about tomorrow, about Nelly putting a bowling alley up in Florissant. You know about this?
Yeah, I saw that he bought it's not Crest Bowl. Did he buy AMC? What did he buy?
I can't remember which one he bought, but he's going to be Dirty Bowling or something like that. I'm thinking to myself.
Yeah, I think we should partner because you and I just bought the hoods up there. So you and I could just partner with them.
Okay, John, say goodbye.
See you tomorrow.